Hello, and welcome to episode 118 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, I have a great interview with designer Michelle Norgren. She is going to tell us about how she started her business and how she's been scaling it. It's quite successful, so you're going to love listening in on this interview. Before I tell you a little more about her, I wanted to remind you now is a great time if you're thinking about starting your business or learning more about the career of interior design to get into my design mentor. In there, you can learn from the 12 modules we have in there on all different subjects about the career. And then as well, there is, for those interested in starting their business, the business starter kit for you. And I have it all spelled out, the easy way to start your business. I wish I had that when I was starting out. So you're going to want to get in there and check that out. And now let me tell you a little more about Michelle. Michelle Norgren is the owner and founder of Harmony Homes, a luxury interior design and construction firm. With a background in architecture and a passion for creating beautiful, functional spaces, Michelle launched Harmony Homes to help clients bring their dream homes to life. Under her leadership, the company has become known for its seamless design-build approach, ensuring every project reflects the firm's ethos, where beauty, space, and functionality harmonize. Michelle's expertise in both design and construction allows her to offer clients a comprehensive, personalized experience from concept to completion. Let's hear from Michelle. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to Design Curious Podcast. So great to have you here today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to learn about your business, Harmony Homes. And let's start off with, though, how you got into interior design.
Yeah, so with interior design, I've always kind of had a passion from the beginning. I'm sure as you hear from many designers, you start and you rearrange your room 50 times when you're 10 years old. And actually, one time in middle school, it was my friend's birthday. And for, I don't know, the year that I've known her, she kept asking her parents to paint her room purple. And they were always dragging their feet. So I said, this is a great opportunity. And instead of buying a normal birthday present, I bought my friend a can of purple paint so she could paint her room.
That's excellent. What a good friend. Yeah. Oh, fun. Okay. So you knew early on that you wanted to be a designer.
Yeah. And then I went to college and I actually started college as pre-vet. So I'm a lifelong equestrian and I thought that was the route that I wanted to go. And after my first year in college, I had a summer internship at a veterinary firm and it was very cool to learn all about it. But I knew I had this creative side of me and you can't really get too creative if you're in equine surgery. So I felt like that wasn't quite the right path for me. And so naturally, it just made sense to major in architecture and then continue on expanding my expertise in interior design.
Okay, great. So then once you graduated, did you go straight into working for someone or?
Yes. Yep. So while I was in college, I had a summer internship with an architecture firm for a couple years and we worked on hotels and a lot of commercial projects. And that was very cool. It was really interesting to see what a large scale project looks like. But again, the creativity wasn't really there. You have brand identities and brand guidelines that you have to stick within. And there was a lot of fun puzzle piecing, like you have to fit so many rooms inside X amount of square footage. And so kind of working it like a puzzle was a lot of fun. But when I graduated, I got a job at a design build firm up in Michigan, and it just clicked. I knew that that was where I was meant to be. It was so much fun creating homes for these clients and really curating beautiful spaces.
Nice. Okay. So then eventually you went on your own and started Harmony Homes.
Yep. So in 2020, the midst of the pandemic, I was working for a big furniture retailer as an interior designer there, and they furloughed a lot of their
Mm,
employees, just unsure of what was going on. I was not one of the ones that were furloughed, but there were talks of further furloughing happening,
hmm
and I just wasn't comfortable with the uncertainty, and I really missed the construction side of the
mm,
business. Just working in furniture, we were just adding the jewelry to the space, if you
hmm
will. And I really wanted to get in there and do some construction again. So I quit my job and took the leap and started Harmony Homes and Co. in 2020.
Wow. Okay. So, what were some of the struggles that you faced as you started out in 2020? I know for a lot of people, that was actually a great time because everyone was wanting to redo their homes. But
Mhm.
being a new business, did you have some challenges that you were facing?
Yeah, I think it was kind of a blessing. It was still pretty early on. We didn't really know what the climate was going to be in terms of renovation. So that was really scary, whether or not business was going to ramp up or slow down. And then also, we couldn't go out in public. So
Mm,
networking and really meeting new people
yeah.
was very difficult. And so starting the business primarily remote. I'm FaceTiming clients. I'm trying to get them to do the site measurements and send me photos of their spaces. And so that was really hard. And not necessarily having these hardcore processes that we have now that we could have fallen back on, and you're creating these in a very unknown time was pretty challenging.
hmm So then you started to develop some processes. So, what are some of the design processes that you use to bring your client's vision to life?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is really starting with a strong initial consultation and understanding, like, why did the client call you here?
Mm,
Oftentimes they'll say something more basic, like I want to redo my living room, and you walk in and sure, I can redesign any space, but also I can look at a space and say these things are fine. So what is it that is motivating you here? And
yeah.
if you dig a little deeper, oftentimes there is a strong why. I want to be able to conversate with my family. It's geared around the TV right now, and it's not a space of community. Or we just got pets, and now I'm scared of my white sofa not being suitable for the pets. And so, really digging deep in that initial consultation, understanding why you called me.
Yeah, that's really key. So do you have a large team or is it just you? How do you
Um,
work in
yeah.
your business?
So right now it is a team of four. There's myself, my marketing director, Ashley, the admin project manager, Marcy, and then we have another designer as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a relatively small team, strong but mighty. And
Mm,
then just this year have launched in-house construction. So we're bringing in a lot of subcontractors
mm,
and building our repertoire of tradesmen that can come into these clients' homes and help smoothly transition from the design phase to the construction phase.
hmm Yeah, that's really nice when you can do it all within the same firm, design firm, like to design it and then implement is just really the ideal approach. I think when you like to see the construction through, and obviously you do. So how do you make sure that your team is collaborating well and that your processes, like as you're scaling up, you'll probably have to deal with some growing pains through the process. So, what do you do currently to help it run smoothly?
Yeah, so I think we have really defined steps of our design process. So it's a five-step process. And within that process, we have kind of checklists We use an app called Motion AI, and
Hmm.
it will automatically assign to the team members what their roles are within this step of the design process. So that's one thing that I don't have to worry about delegating. They know that we're in the design phase, and these are the things that are your responsibility within the design phase. And then on top of that, on Monday mornings, we have a weekly touch base one-on-one to make sure that we're really clear. There's no questions. We don't need any additional clarifications.
Hmm.
And then in the middle of the week, we also have a team meeting where we all get together and talk about things that are going well and things that need improvement.
Yeah, that's key for communication. That's interesting. Motion AI. I haven't really been exposed to that software. So, how did you find that?
I recently went on a competition TV show called The Blocks, and there's entrepreneur mentors who are judging you throughout this competition, and they also give you advice. And one of the mentors told me about it, that so you put in all of your tasks and you
Hmm.
can really break it down like very niche. And on top of that, if there's just a miscellaneous task, you can throw that in there to call your insurance agent or whatever.
Mm.
And you tell it how long the task is going to take, and then it syncs to your Google Calendar, and it will automatically task based on when it's due and how much time you have in your workday. It will tell you what to do throughout the day. And it's really
Wow.
been a huge game changer to stay organized and productive.
Yeah. And I think also just to stay focused on the task at hand, because,
Mhm.
everything else has a scheduled time so that you can like allot this hour for whatever it is that you need to get done. So I like that. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
Yeah, really,
definitely.
really fun. How did you get on? What's the TV show about? Tell me a little bit more about that. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, so I saw an ad just scrolling through social media, and I clicked on it just out of curiosity. It was like entrepreneurs looking for to compete, something along the lines of that.
Hmm.
And I clicked into it just out of curiosity, and this form was automatically filled out for me. And I was like, oh, what the heck? I'll just submit it. What's going to happen? They're never going to call me anyway. And then I go through this process and I get accepted on the show. And it was 120 contestants competing to be the best startup on the blocks, in quotes.
Oh.
And so each day is a lesson of something about running a business. Like one day was about your standard operating procedures, and
Hmm.
we learned about that for the morning session. And then we break out into small groups of about 10 people, and you're given a prompt, and you have to go up there and present based on the prompt of what you've learned that day. And then the best ones from there compete against all the other winners of their breakout session. And so I actually ended up being runner up on the show. So it was a very cool experience, and I
Wow.
learned a lot.
I bet. Yeah, it sounds like an intensive learning experience, really, like all these details that you need to know and
Yeah.
having mentors on hand. Do you still have communication with those people who are guiding you through the process?
Yeah, a lot of the mentors, they were really fantastic. A lot of them gave out personal phone numbers to people that they made
Hmm.
connections with. And then on top of that, we're all in a Facebook group where we can connect with the other contestants and the mentors.
Fun. Okay. Well, besides that intensive learning about how to do SOPs and everything like that, what other strategies have been instrumental in scaling your business up in the last couple of years?
I think one of the biggest learning curves for me was the leads and lead processes, and
Mm,
bringing on my marketing manager was really instrumental in
okay.
being able to do that. But the biggest thing is organization, communication, and having really strong systems and processes. If
Hmm.
there's any questions about what to do at any point throughout the design or construction process, that's opening us up to just a world of possible hurt or confusion or the project to fall through the cracks. So, really just making sure that everyone is on the same page.
Yeah. And how did you decide who your first hire was? Who was your first hire? And then how did you go from there?
Yeah, my first hire was Marcy, the project manager. And really, it's because one of my biggest weaknesses is communication. And so I would be getting emails and text messages and all the coordination things that go with running a business. And it was just so draining for me to have to stop what I was doing, respond to that communication, and make sure I really stayed on top of the ball. So it felt like a no-brainer to get someone to help me stay organized and help present a professional front to my clients.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yeah, I think also, I mean, just hiring a marketing manager is probably pretty smart too.
She was my second hire.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about like for finances? Do you have a bookkeeper as well, or is that?
Yes, I do have someone who does my bookkeeping, and that was straight off the bat. I initially only hired someone around tax time, and they were going back through a full year of finances and trying to reconcile the books. And I use QuickBooks, but I wasn't very adept at it. And so after a couple years, once we were doing quite a bit every single month, it was impossible to go back at the end of the year. And so I brought on a bookkeeper. I use a third party to do that.
Okay, great. So you've come a long ways in the last 4 years or so. What does the future look like? So I know you said you're bringing on construction services and project management with that. So how are you looking to expand in the future?
Yeah, so for the future, I am definitely looking to expand our design build process and bringing on bigger construction projects. So when we launched the in-house construction, we were keeping it relatively small off the get-go, just again to make sure that we have laid a really strong foundation. And so now that we've built that up further, it's going to be really leaning into that and doing some bigger renovations and additions and that sort of thing.
What about new build, do you think?
Yes, we're looking to do a new build in 2025. We've gotten a couple leads so far at the end of this year, so I think we'll see some new builds come to life at the end of 2025.
Okay. And then do you collaborate with architects and engineers as you do that, or do you try to keep that in-house?
Yeah, I think collaborating with architects and engineers is paramount. I did go to architecture school, but I never went on to get my license. So I can do minor things as far as structural goes. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's worth it to pay a professional and just make sure that everything is all buttoned up.
Agreed. Yeah. Paying a professional to do it the right way the first time is always worth it. And it's impossible for designers to know everything. And it often is best that we stay in our lane and just kind of do the things that we do best and then hire for the rest. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, the expression jack of all trades, master of none, I would much rather be a master of a few niche aspects of my business and then hire out the rest.
Yeah, so good. Well, that's already some great advice, but is there anything else that you would give an up and coming designer, an entrepreneur who's going to start that journey of running their own design firm?
Yeah, the biggest thing is reading and refining. So I love to read books. I love to listen to podcasts and just absorb as much information as possible. And then also just refining what you have done in the past to continue improving. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's a million architecture and design firms and design build firms. And so there's a lot that you can learn from all of them and take the pieces that you love to craft your own business.
Well, that's really good. Yeah. Well, Michelle, it's been great talking with you. Where can people find you if they want to see some of your work or maybe reach out to you with questions they have about how you scaled your business?
Yeah, you can find us at harmonyhomesco.com or Harmony Homes Co. on Instagram and Facebook.
Great. Okay. And we'll make sure those are in the show notes so people can definitely reach out to you. But it's been great speaking with you today, Michelle. Thanks for coming on.
You too. Thank you, Rebecca.
some really good takeaways from Michelle on starting your business. And she started at a very tentative time and still went for it. So I admire that. And her approach has certainly paid off, just looking for opportunities, looking for ways to improve her business and scale it up and do the things that she's most passionate about. And that's why we're here on this podcast. And so I hope you've been enjoying the interviews that we've had this year, and you can go back and listen to them. We have one more episode this year, but then we're going to take a break for 2 weeks at the end of the month. And that's a perfect time to go and catch up on episodes that you may have missed. All right, that's it for this week. Stay tuned for another great episode, the last one of 2024 next week. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.